Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're doing another first look video. That's because new games keep coming out. I've actually missed several videos for some other games which I've received but haven't had the chance to play yet. This has been a crazy year for strategy and war games, and one of those games, which just came out a couple of days ago, is a new DLC pack for Order of Battle, and the DLC pack is Order of Battle Panzerkrieg. Now, Panzerkrieg is a sequel to Blitzkrieg in a way. Blitzkrieg was a DLC pack which came out not that long ago, which really focuses on World War II from the start of the war, the German invasion of Poland. I believe it also goes through into the invasion of France and the beginning of the invasion of Russia. However, Panzerkrieg takes place in the Russian campaign, but after the breakdown of the German offensives in Russia. So essentially, Germany has invaded Russia. Operation Barbarossa has come very close to success, but it has fallen short. And the Russian counterattacks in the winter of 1942, the early winter, January, not, have driven the Germans back from the gates of Moscow, and now the war is setting in. The German war in Russia is setting in, and that's what Panzerkrieg takes a look at. It includes battles like Sevastopol, Stalingrad, Kursk, some of the momentous battles on the Eastern Front. It doesn't, to me, based on the scenario list, looks like it goes past Kursk, but it has the 1942 campaigns and 1943 campaigns included in this game. Additionally, apparently you can carry your core units over from Blitzkrieg. So if you play Blitzkrieg and you've built up this cadre of forces, you can bring them over to Panzerkrieg, which is a similar way to how the Japanese campaign works. Originally, Rising Sun was the campaign which was included in Order of Battle Pacific, the first version of the game, which allowed you to play as Japan and fight through the war on the Japanese side. There was also, of course, the U.S. side. But later they added a DLC pack called Morning Sun, which took you to the campaigns in China before the war actually started, but it allowed you to carry your core forces over into the main game of Order of Battle Pacific. Well, in that same way, Blitzkrieg seems to tie into Panzerkrieg, and I'm kind of wondering if there's going to be a third version of this sort of Eastern Front game coming, given that this doesn't seem to go all the way through to the end of the war, again, based on the scenario list. With that being said, it may not. After Kursk, playing as the Germans would be a little bit depressing with no real hope of victory, so perhaps this is where it will end. Nonetheless, Order of Battle has seen yet another DLC pack released with Panzerkrieg. This is a game that has received a tremendous amount of support for years after launch. Originally just Order of Battle Pacific and Order of Battle Pacific, both the U.S. and the Japanese campaigns. They added U.S. Marines, they added Morning Sun, they added the Burma Road relatively recently, they added the Winter War, which is sort of the first foray into European fighting, Finland versus the USSR. And then they added Kriegsmarine, which looked at the naval campaigns, Blitzkrieg, which looked at the land campaigns from the German perspective, and now Panzerkrieg. It's also kind of interesting. It looks like they've taken a little bit of a artistic style with Blitzkrieg. You see sort of this bright, shiny new German Iron Cross symbol for the Germans, and then Panzerkrieg, you can see the red has faded. It's battle worn, if you will. There's some scratches you can't really see with my pointer over there because it kind of blocks it out, but there's some scratches over the Iron Cross. It's clearly a worn symbol, which is sort of, I think, symbolizing the mid-war nature of it, the German forces being worn down in Russia, and that's being symbolized in the artistic style of the particular game. With that being said, today we are taking a first look at Panzerkrieg, this new DLC, and we're just going to jump in and start a new campaign and see what it's all about. With that being said, here you can see Steel, Ice, and Fire. Our bid to take Moscow before the winter of 1941 has failed. The Soviets have managed to halt our offensive in front of the city gates and have launched several counterattacks against our retreating forces. It looks like the first battle that we're going to play here is the Battle of the Riziv, or however you pronounce that, salient. It is the first strategic winter offensive of the Red Army, and they threaten to cut off the northern flank of the German Army Group Center, which is sort of the piece of the German Army Group that's still sort of threatening Russia, or specifically Moscow, and the Russians are trying to cut it off. You can see here we've got the Wehrmacht Corps, No specializations yet, although you can see there's sort of a tech tree that's laid out here of where we're at. You've got difficulty set to major. We'll make it a medium difficulty, and we'll go ahead and jump in. Following our failure to take Moscow, fierce Soviet counterattacks have pushed back the front line. On January 8th, the enemy has launched a winter offensive. It now threatens to cut off our whole northern flank in the area between Rizov and... Between Rizov and the most imminent... That seems oddly written. It's going to cut off the northern flank in the area between Rizov and... and Vizimima. Okay. The most imminent threat comes from the Soviet advance west of Rizov, driving two massive wedges in our flank. If these offensives are not stopped and reversed, it will jeopardize our entire position. Okay. Simultaneously, Rizov and Vyama are pressured by a general Soviet advance from the east. The enemy is paying a high price for their gains, however, and while both sides have taken serious losses, there are signs that the Red Army is close to exhaustion. We must hold our key command post and supply depots in the area. Falling back in the east to strengthen the Rizov-Vyma line is certainly an option. Due to the harsh winter blizzards, the Luftwaffe is currently grounded, but they have promised to resume operations as soon as the weather improves. We'll see how soon that is, given it's, Russia during the winter. The Waffen-SS and Germany. Apparently you have a separate group of units that are part of the Waffen-SS. You can see here we've got several specializations for our forces already. What is the specialization for the Waffen-SS? Wow, quite a few actually. Our goal is to hold at least 3 primary victory points, control all primary victory points by the end, and capture these 2 cities. Secondary objectives: rescue the encircled infantry units, destroy 2 partisan units, allow battered veterans to regroup, and destroy 2 Soviet tanks and 5 turrets. Okay. Disconnected. The Soviet thrust into our northern flank has cut off some of our units. Once the main enemy attacks have been defeated, we must attempt to relieve these forces. You can play this game with a predetermined core force or compose one custom from scratch. No. I'm just going to use the predetermined ones. Let's see here. Assume these troops try and hold out here. I guess this is my predetermined troops. All of our troops are deployed at the moment. We have 10 infantry points that we can use, so let's go ahead and buy a few extra units. Let's go into the purchase window. Given we're fighting against the Soviets, I don't know if they've got the T-34 or not yet. Don't know what to do. The Stug. Purchase and deploy him here. Used half of our infantry allotment. Used 5 points, if you will. Infantry, heavy infantry. And deploy him here. Okay. My goal is going to be to try and liberate these infantry units and get them out of there. Okay. I think that's all we've got for them. We've also, I guess we can purchase some units for the Waffen-SS. Infantry. I want tanks instead. Of course, they get the Panzer IV. Let's see here. Heavy infantry over here. All right. All right, so we've ended the deployment phase. The enemy is thinking. I guess they get to execute their turn first. Those must be partisan units. Destroyed a truck. And there's the Soviet armor. I don't know what kind of armor it is. Got a pillbox here that their armor is doing great damage to. Looks like their infantry is going to finish it off here. Yep, did. What tank is that? I can't tell. I think I'm going to try and take this town and maybe cut this Soviet advancing force off. It's a pretty strong force attacking here, but I got to imagine their rear is a little bit exposed. Of course, they've got a pretty strong column on the left, too. Quite a bit of armor, actually, too. We don't have a lot of armor. But we are defending cities, so you can see there are troops in that city did pretty well against the Russian armor attacking. Russian cavalry's also attacking them, and they did very well against that as well. So there you have it. Nice little defense on the left flank. Enemy artillery, I don't know where that was coming from over there. And, interesting. So one thing I like that this game does is it can actually make reinforcements. Several understrength and battered units have been called back to the area to rest and repair and regroup, and they will gradually recover operational strength. Okay. But these guys? Oh no. Gotta be the guys down here. Okay. Let's see. Just trying to see what makes the most sense. Move our armor up in here. Hopefully deal the enemy a bit of a blow. We just sort of did, I think. Soviet infantry in these trees here. Gotta make sure they don't cut off our armor. Oh, nice. We got some long-range artillery here that can hit these guys. And, yeah. So I think those guys are done. Over here, I'm gonna bring my armor in to stop this counterattack head-on. We just successfully counterattacked. Drove them back. Alright, almost destroyed them. Come forward to the front. Alright, so attacking... my viewpoint here is that a counterattack is going to be more effective against these guys in the immediate term than waiting for them to come to us. That's my hope, anyway. Whoops. I didn't want to put them on trains. Can I undo that? No, it doesn't look like I can. Alright, well... that was not what I meant. That is an objective, clearly. I don't want you to mount a train. Trying to think of... like, this anti-armor should probably stay put. I don't know, like, I don't know how aggressive I should be by trying to push out of our bases, because we need to hold these ones with the gold star here. I'd like the idea of establishing somewhat of a united front. Not all these sort of scattered garrisons, if you will. Alright, we'll attack the infantry. Some of these guys can't move. Alright. Call these guys up. I'm going to bring as many of my troops forward as I can. I'm going to leave these guys back here because I think I'm supposed to. That infantry, tell me they just destroyed that cavalry. No, they didn't destroy it. Damn. And they damaged but did not destroy this enemy unit. So again, I'm counterattacking all across the board. That may be overly aggressive. I guess we'll see how this all plays out. Leave him here. These guys are cut off. I'm advancing these guys because there's no reason to hold this pocket, so I'm going to try and get these guys liberated. It is one of our objectives. But I think that about does it for that turn. Got a few units which weren't engaged, but in general, everybody that we wanted to fight did. We're driving forward, trying to liberate this pocket. Enemy has quite a bit of artillery, actually. And their infantry are chewing up our pack anti-tank guns. Pretty handily, actually. Which is unfortunate, because they have a lot of armor that those guns would be useful against. Not in that situation, because it's already suppressed. But the pillboxes, we already know, are very vulnerable to enemy armor. The Russians continuing to attack here. We're losing kind of heavy casualties, but we're giving as good as we're getting here. I just think they're going to overwhelm us with numbers, potentially. We've nearly destroyed 2 of their armored units, which they're at least pulling off the front lines. They're pulling that infantry unit back as well. This major thrust here, we're trying to launch a counterattack against. And they've got some units here on the edge of the map. Actually, they've got us facing 3-to-1 odds here on the right flank. Yikes. That infantry anti-tank gun is getting murdered. Damn partisans. At least they're not really hurting our infantry. Wow. Those guys got hurt. Maybe I can finish that partisan unit off. Are they going to attack there? Doesn't look like it. Some armor moving around as well. Well, that anti-tank gun's dead. Alright. Well, this is a 20-turn battle by the looks of it. I believe 1 turn represents 1 day. We still hold the objectives that we need to hold. We do want to destroy 2 partisan units, destroy 2 tanks in 5 turns. Well, if we haven't destroyed any yet. Just destroyed 1 partisan unit. Oh, they didn't get destroyed. They almost got destroyed. I assumed we had destroyed them. I was wrong. Man, these Russian units don't want to die. What's up with that? Only they destroyed the cavalry there. There you go. No. was going to be able to finish him. Alright, these guys will. No. Oh, yeah, they did. Okay, good. Good, good. And now these Russians are surrounded. Alright. Destroyed a couple of Russian units. Just destroyed another one. Okay. These Russians running too. Almost destroyed that unit. Almost. Very close. Pull these guys back. Alright, so we've almost liberated the cut-off infantry. We'll hopefully destroy this infantry unit here. Kind of driving into the rear of this advance over here. Alright. So, my troops lost some health. The enemy's probably going to attack them in full force next turn, but at the end of the day, that's okay, because it should deflect some of their attacks against this objective city over here. Should buy me one more turn. We just destroyed that enemy unit. Meanwhile, we're trying to liberate the guys who are cut off here in the pocket. On the right flank, things are a lot less clear. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to do. That town. Please tell me they destroyed them. Damn it. It won't die. Okay. Maybe they can machine gun those guys. This isn't an objective. Down over here is, so I'll move over there. Anti-aircraft is interesting to have these guns, considering right now everything is frozen and cold. Let's assign him over there. This is also not an objective, really. Although... Alright, so we're getting him back up to 9 strength. Meanwhile, these guys just launched an attack and did some serious damage to the guy over there. Bringing some reserves to the east to deal with the threat manifesting itself that way. Conscripts, these are engineers. We'll leave these guys be. Alright, they're supposed to just get better on their own, I think. Let's see, who hasn't acted yet? Right, these are the veterans who are getting better on their own, or are supposed to. These guys are holding an objective town, so we'll leave them. Same for these guys. I think I should pull these guys out over toward the objective town. I don't think opening up our center in that way is really going to hurt us too much. I'd have to go a ways to cut off our troops. They're probably going to swing west toward this objective, so we're going to move them that way. Infantry will pull back. Well, do we want to increase their experience? I'd like to increase their experience. Let's get them back into the town. They can actually reinforce and move. So that'll be good. This appears to be artillery. I didn't realize that. Thought it was a anti-tank gun. But all the better. They can deal some damage. And I think that's about it. Oh, nice. Our pillbox did a little bit of damage on the enemy tank. I don't want to attack there. Well, actually, why not? They're conscripts, right? You're not supposed to lose anything. That's 3-0. And there you go. Weakens the troops in your front. Okay, that about does it for this turn. So let's go ahead and move forward. My strategy is being bold, I suppose. I got my Waffen SS chewed up, though, by leaving them in their trucks because I was dumb, didn't pay attention to the fact that they were moving further than they could walk, so they moved over to their vehicles, which made them sitting ducks for the enemy. Meanwhile, those soldiers in that town just attacked us, which is great because our defensive fire crippled them, nearly destroyed them. Meanwhile, the Russian armor actually swinging east. I gambled that they'd swing west toward that objective town, but it appears I was incorrect. I don't think it's an immediate danger, although they may encircle some of our troops up here. Russian armor just advanced and attacked and nearly destroyed our artillery over here. I wouldn't be surprised if this infantry moves up here as well and tries to finish it off. And we've got our relief column, which is coming to the relief of this cut-off infantry, is about to get cut off itself as the Russians move in behind us and take the town of Kasan. See if they attack the objective or if they attack the weakened infantry. I imagine if they're smart, if the AI is intelligent. No, they're gonna attack the city. No, but those guys will finish our infantry off for sure. Yep, and they're dead. I don't think pioneers are the best at soft defense against infantry and holding a town. They're much better at attacking fixed positions, as there you can see they already got driven out. I imagine the Soviets have one more unit they can... Yep, there they can go. They just took the town. We just lost our first objective. Man, it really stayed... They've got a lot of units. They just encircled our minefield, but who cares? It's just a minefield. Meanwhile, their infantry are spending time reducing these pillboxes, giving us some time. Okay. So, are we almost done yet? Artillery, more infantry. They're moving into the pocket. Oh, nice little snow graphic. Didn't notice that over there. Destroys 2 Soviet tanks. We did that. The fall of Belay poses a grave threat to our rear areas. Additional relief forces can now be deployed to deal with the situation. These partisans too? Oh, yeah, they are. Basically, it just means we can recruit more units. Okay, we can attack that artillery. All right. artillery here. Let's go ahead and reinforce these guys. These guys aren't going to be cut off anymore. Okay. We just destroyed another infantry unit, the one threatening Soka. We've now got a clear pathway, at least for the time being, keeping our troops supplied and in supply here. Our armor can move that way. The other armor can't move into those woods. It's too densely forested. We can go ahead and move these guys into, I believe this is entrenchments. Looks like there's entrenchments. You know, we've got this one armored unit, which I don't know what I want to do with. Oh, we can move them parallel with the town, I suppose. I guess we can lower this gun into direct fire if we want. Turn it into an anti-tank gun. Move our armor up this way. Alright. So, combined defensive up here in the north. We've nearly destroyed this anti-tank gun. Could destroy, actually could cut this whole Soviet pocket off, which would be really nice. So, of course, we've lost the left flank. Assembly point over here on the right flank. Alright, so we destroyed that Soviet unit. Damage these guys, split these guys in two. Holy cow, that's a lot of Soviet troops. There's an airstrip here, there's a T-38, and there's some Soviet infantry as well. Shite. Yeah. Move them over here via vehicle. Right. Pull these guys back. German infantry 41. These guys actually have more experience. I don't know if they can get there though. Let's just reinforce these guys, keep them dug in. We're not going to advance after them either. We did good there, 4-1, much better than predicted, but we'll leave these guys in position so they can't surround this town. Well, actually, technically, I suppose the armor could swing south and cut us off if they destroy it. Well, it'd be hard. There's a river here. So hopefully that keeps us safe for another turn or two. Alright, we don't really have anything left except some of our pillboxes. Might as well use it to shoot at people while we can. So yeah, that does that. Let's go ahead and purchase some units with our money. So we've got 188 with our infantry. Go ahead and buy some more tanks. We could buy a Panzer Mark IV. I think we want to... I don't know where we have enough supplies to deploy it. Pretty much nowhere. Yeah, we don't have enough supply to deploy it anywhere. Well, geez. Alright, well, we haven't deployed it, so we can get all our money back. Can we deploy infantry anywhere? Doesn't look like we have supply to deploy that anywhere either. I guess we're just gonna have to end the turn and let it go at that. Guys, we're moving into turn 4. This will probably be the last turn in this video. Again, this is just a sort of first look, first impressions video. I'm just kind of playing through it and seeing how things go. So, certainly not a full series at this time. I may do one. Let me know your thoughts. I know I haven't been too chatty in this video, but it's been an interesting... I think it's an interesting concept for this game. I'm not sure how well it's executed yet, but I'm enjoying myself, so I'd be interested to see what all of you think, if this is something that you'd be interested in seeing more of. We'll continue out through our half of the next turn, and then we'll wrap this particular video up. I'd probably restart... Oh, wow. That bunker just got satcheled. I'd probably start a new series if I was going to do a full-blown series on it. But let me know your thoughts. This is, again, a brand new DLC out for Order of Battle, and it's called Kriegspiel. As all of my troops get overrun and destroyed. And those partisans sure sprout up like... I don't even know what sprouts up a lot. They get themselves massacred when they try and attack our infantry, though. I probably shouldn't have left all those towns and cities, and I shouldn't have concentrated my forces, I don't think, in the way that I did. Because I'm getting all these towns and cities cut off now. I've just got the one supply line north to this particular objective, and the enemy could easily race in behind me and kill that before long. Really need to open up, take Razma and open up that supply line over there. On the east, I'm doing, at least this corner of the east, I'm doing well. I think the enemy's been kind of driven to the corner of the map. Southeast, not as well. Just getting overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Man, their cavalry is actually kind of effective there. Their armor, less so. An interesting series of fights here. We're doing pretty well, I feel. Nice, they didn't destroy our Nubawaffes. Let's see if we get credit for liberating these infantry in this pocket here. Damn the Russians. Their endless numbers, they keep coming. They've got alligator blood. Can't get the lead of them. Rounders reference. Okay, so they have... We liberate these guys only to get them cut off. Actually, where are we at? Whoops. Where are we at? That's not what I was looking for. There's got to be... No? Where do you see... I just wanted to see what our... I don't know. Apparently I can't just click buttons and find the mission briefing. Okay, our rockets. Alright, so I just destroyed that guy. Man, these SS are basically worthless. With their losses mounting, it's become clear the Soviet offensive has failed to meet its ambitious goals. Okay, good. That's what we wanted. Why can't I attack this guy? No ammo? Huh. Interesting. Alright, so we've stalled their offensive. That's good. We've cut off a pocket of Soviet troops, although I don't know if we'll prevent them from breaking out, really. There's nothing between them and running away. Meanwhile... yeah, I can't do that. Alright, so we've stalled their offensive in the center. Destroyed that guy, nice. Almost destroyed him. Almost destroyed him. A lot of almost destroyeds. They get to retreat? Yeah, they do. Damn, they just keep retreating. We can't do anything about it. Alright. Well, mixed success, right? Bloody all across the board. Some successes, some failures. This is an interesting addition to Order of Battle, or Order of Battle, not Pacific. That's what it originally was called. This is a really interesting addition, in my opinion. It's a challenging scenario, clearly, from the German perspective. I imagine the game will get more and more challenging as it goes on. It's an increasingly dynamic time that this covers during World War II, specifically on the Eastern Front. The tide is not yet shifted against Germany, but it's turning. By the last scenario, Kursk, the tide is firmly turned. You know, one thing that Order of Battle Pacific does... oh my god, I keep calling it Order of Battle Pacific. One thing that Order of Battle World War II really does well that I think it's sort of grandfather game, Panzer General and later Panzer Corps don't. Panzer Corps and Panzer General really rely on you being on the offensive for things to be interesting. Because of because of the nature of the Pacific campaign, especially the early scenarios playing as the Allies, on the defensive against the Japanese. The game had to find interesting victory conditions, interesting ways to make fighting a defensive battle interesting in a way that Panzer Corps never really did. There were some scenarios that I think did it well on the original Panzer General. There was the one where you were defending the Italian peninsula against the invasion of Sicily and Salerno, and then there was the D-Day offensives as well were pretty interesting. But in general, when you're on the defensive, especially in Panzer Corps, there were really no well-designed scenarios that made it terribly compelling to be on the defensive. But Order of Battle really, I don't know, it just captures me in a way that Panzer Corps didn't for defensive battles. And so I could see them saying, let's make a final expansion that looks at the last 2 years of the war on the Soviet front. Those years really don't get a lot of coverage. The German military was engaged in a fight for its life against overwhelming odds. You know, victory was out of the question by that point. But it's still an interesting period of time in history, so I wouldn't mind seeing them try and figure out a way to make it interesting. Maybe they include the Western Theater as well, and then you've kind of got D-Day, and maybe you allow the player to go on the offensive at the Battle of the Ardennes. But in general, I think it would be an interesting challenge. So I'm hoping they carry this through and let you continue to carry your core force forward. But anyway, my initial impressions of this game is a solid addition in the DLC pack, at least from this battle's perspective. I like the concept, I like the idea, I like the battles that they're playing. I like the challenge of the Eastern Front as things start to turn against you. So I think there's a lot of interesting gameplay elements. I'll have to wade into it a bit more to give a really final, detailed result, but at least my initial thoughts are this is pretty positive. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in once again, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.